Hello there! Me and my buddy Gwyn here are going to teach you how to no-hit Dark Souls. That's when you complete the mandatory parts of the game without getting hit by any of the enemies, bosses, or traps in the game. That sounds kind of difficult, I'm sure, but with this guide, you'll be up in no time. This video is aimed at beginners and at runners looking for relatively safer strats through Lordran. The route will use the Astora Straight Sword for the first part, then switch to the Crystal Halberd. If you're new to hitless running, you can check all the rules on the Team Hitless website, link in the description. So grab yourself some refreshments and let's get going. But first, we need to talk about some third-party software that will make your life easier while attempting or practicing hitless runs, or any other challenge runs in Dark Souls. The first and most important one is going to be Souls Speedrun Save Organizer. With this, you'll be able to save your progress and retry sections or bosses in the game as much as you want. Simply create a dummy character with which you'll do the saves and go through the game. I won't go into how to set up the program, but for Dark Souls 1, each time you enter and exit the menu, a small fire icon in the top right corner will appear, indicating the game has updated its internal save. You can then hit Import Save State and you will have successfully saved your progress. I will be noting some important places where you should be making save states and where you should not. Secondly, there is the DSR gadget application that will let you use cheats such as no death for you and the enemies, spawn items, or gain hyper speed. Again, this is great for practice only. Finally, if you desire to stream your challenge, you might want to use Hit Counter Manager to display to your audience where you are in the run and how many hits you've taken so far. All the links are in the description. We're finally in the game, but we need to set up some things first. If you're online on Steam, make sure you are logged out. That will remove any online activity. While we'd never be invaded, we could find ourselves face to face with a vagrant, which is a very rare online-only type of enemy. Now click New Game and set your preferences. Most of these will be personal, but I would probably want to have a faster camera than the default one. A 9 does me fine, but choose your preferred one. Camera auto-wall recovery is an important setting as it changes the behavior of your camera as it interacts with walls and ceilings of the decor. With it on, you will notice the camera shifts as it clears obstructions, which might change your character's course and yeet you off a ledge. With it off, turning the camera when close to a wall becomes very slow and sluggish. Personally, I prefer leaving this setting on as I'm used to it by now. You do you. Finally, set your different preferences and let's get into key settings and click the gameplay tab. Here you'll see the jump button is set by default as B. I would advise to change that setting to L3 so that you'll jump when you're sprinting and then press down on the left stick. Now it's time to create our dummy character. We'll use this character to make save states and practice with, but the steps will be the same if you're doing actual attempts. First, set a name. Pick Thief as your starting class, as this will provide us by default with the master key that is needed to skip a large part of the early game. Then select Black Firebombs as a gift. None of the other options will impact this run, so have fun with it. Press accept when you're done. Grab the key from our friend Oscar, open door, and we're off. We'll be doing a lot of running in this game, so make sure you don't run out of stamina, as you won't be able to run until the bar fills back up completely. When on the ladder, I like to remove all my clothes and unnecessary objects. You can keep some equipment on for starter points, but remember that you want a light load to be able to fast roll. Once up, you should make a save here, as we will fight Asylum demon after opening the door. Get to this point and throw the first bomb where the boss will land. Then run behind him and try to stay in full view of its assets. Throw a bomb after each of its attacks for maximum safety. You may want to practice free throwing the bombs, but locking on and locking off is also an option. Once done, get your gear and we'll go see Oscar for the Estus flasks and the keys out. Go up the stairs until this point, then immediately go back down. Stay by the wall to not get squished by the ball. Yes, that's a hit, since the ball is a trap. Make sure that when you turn your character 180 degrees, you make a circle motion with the stick, or you'll end up making a hockey stop, and you'll be run over. Alternatively, you may run up the stairs on the side. Exhaust the dialogue, or kill Oscar, you monster, and go down to exit the asylum. Go up the slope to be transported to Firelink Shrine. We'll be gathering certain items scattered around the shrine before going down towards the Valley of the Drakes. First, pick up the humanities by the well. And these firebombs. Go up the stairs to get a soul item and jump here. Open this chest for Homeward Bones. And this one for Lloyd's Talismans, which we'll use to get the Symbol of Avarice later. You can use the Homeward Bones or run back to the bonfire. You may have noticed we took some damage from the fall, but don't worry, as self-inflicted damage does not count as a hit, as we'll see later. Pop the soul, sit at the bonfire and level up to 14 faith, which is necessary to wield the Astora Straight Sword. Then go down the stairs to the elevator. While on the elevator, equip your Homeward Bones. We want to be doing most of our menuing during the elevator rides, as there's nothing else to do while waiting. Once the elevator comes to a stop, send it back up and make sure you do that each time we go down this elevator. Go down on the left here and pick up this soul item. We'll be picking up a couple more as we run through the Valley of the Drakes. Here's another one. At this undead dragon, we want to grab the leftmost item here. Walk slowly on the index finger of the dragon until it pushes you ever so slightly to the right. When the pop-up appears, press A to grab the Astora Straight Sword, aka the... Never mind. On PC, you can use Alt plus W to walk slowly. Then grab the last soul item here. This Drake right here has two RNGs. It can either shoot lightning straight at you, in which case you should run to the right and around him. Or it can shoot lightning in a right to left arching movement, in which case you should run to the left. Manage your stamina properly and get to the elevator. Pop the souls you just grabbed while on it. Get this bonfire and sit down at it. Remember that each time you want to set a bonfire as the bonfire you want to bone back to, you need to sit down at it. Now we want to lure the Black Knight so we can go past him. Inch forward until you see a slight turn, and then get back inside. The Black Knight should be coming around the entrance, but he cannot go through it and enter, so you're safe. The Black Knight's AI will then pull him back to his starting position. You'll start to see him backing up, which is also called leashing. He is armless to us while in this animation, and you can go through and up past him. Aim at the plants and jump when you reach them. While in the air, mash the R1 button and do a plunge attack. If everything went right, you should be standing on this ledge. Wait for the Black Knight to kill himself, and you can jump back or bone back to the bonfire. To jump back, start running against the slope and jump as you tilt the stick slightly to the right. Pick up the Grass-Gray Shield and equip it. It will help our stamina regeneration tremendously. Now we go up the path to pick up the Hunter's Set and the Longbow. Bone out or make your way to the bonfire and the elevator. While on the elevator, equip the sword, the bow and the arrows. The Drake's Tower is usually a pretty big early game reset area, and we'll be doing a strat to decrease the danger. If you decide against this strat, I'd go up the tower first and then deal with the Black Knight. The principle of this strat is to hide from the rightmost Drake in the back and to make him turn away from us, using the sound created by the arrows. I use keyboard and mouse here usually, but here is a setup for controllers. Go in this corner and aim as high as possible, aligning the sight with the seam like so. Then do 3 backsteps. You should not be able to see the rightmost Drake. Aim above the pointy end of the Drake's wing and shoot an arrow. Turn your camera and wait for the Drake to complete his movement, then step forward. As a side note, if the Drake does not move, hide in the corner and do it all over again. Shoot another arrow at the threshold between the tower and giant doors, at about this height. Turn the Drake completely, then rush in. Recover stamina at this point and strafe the lightning. Keep to the left to bait the first Drake, and then curve in towards the ladder. Grab the red tearstone ring and bone out. The RTSR will increase our damage output by at least 50% if our health is below 20%, and it is therefore the most useful item in this run. Equip it now and run up Darkroot Basin until you find the Crystal Lizard. Equip your black firebombs and lock onto the lizard. Hit him once with an R1 and then firebomb him for a quick kill. It will drop 2 Twinkling Titanites that we'll use for the Astora Straight Sword, and it might drop 1 or 2 Titanite chunks that we would use for the Halberd later. Regenerate stamina, then run past the tree. They'll never hit you that way, as we'll see. Wait until the Titanite demon shoots at you, then run past him as well. talk to Andre and upgrade the Astora Straight Sword to +2. You can also buy cheap wooden arrows, as they're useful against weak enemies, or just as distraction. We can ignore the bonfire for now and go straight to Firelink Shrine, running past all the enemies. Pull down the elevator and sit at the bonfire. We'll be doing our RTSR setup here on the elevator. Activate it and stand on the edge here with your left leg in the air. The ceiling will push you out of the elevator so you don't have to time a roll. When you're close to the ground, press B 2 or 3 times to get a roll off. This will cancel the animation of your character bending his knees after a fall. That's a feature that's been removed from Elden Ring, so a lot of people coming to Dark Souls are unaware of it. But there's a disadvantage to that perk, and that is something called stored rolls. If you've ever experienced your character rolling of its own accord and probably killing you in the process, you've experienced the stored roll. The stored roll happens when a roll was inputted but not executed in the moment. It was saved in the game's memory and triggered later. It was stored. The roll usually triggers if your character stops walking, or if you block with a shield, for example. This is one of the reasons why I block frequently in this playthrough, to prevent stored rolls. Once you have taken enough damage by falling, you'll start to glow, signifying you have the bonus from the ring. As we go back up the elevator, menuing the things we'll need for the next section. The Buranaiki Knight we went past last time will most likely be waiting for us. Just stay still and wait for him to go back to his spawn point, or attack him now if you feel confident. The strategy with him is to circle counterclockwise and place yourself behind his left leg. Hit him with 2 R1s after his attack. Pick up the Titanite shard he drops, grab the Firekeeper soul, and place yourself by this column. Now I'd like for you to note that the Boulder Knights in the distance are facing away from us. Now zoom by pressing up with the D-pad and shoot the Channeler in the face twice. If we look back to the Boulder Knights, they have now turned to look our way. If we cross past this pew in the chapel, one of them will aggro to us, so keep well on this side. Equip your wooden arrows and shoot the hollows in the head and in the sword. Now we go up the stairs slightly and lock onto the Boulder Knight and throw a black fireball. It doesn't seem like we should be able to, but we can enter this room without aggroing the hollows if we stay on the right. Position yourself by the pew, but no further than this, and aim in this general area, and throw a normal firebomb. Roll into the pews and shoot the last hollow in the head. We're now free to fight the Gargoyles. You can make a save just before the fog gate. Equip the Astora Straight Sword and the black firebombs. For players on PC, I like to go to this point on the roof that glows slightly and position my character's head just between the arches here, using my mouse. Then with the keyboard, I'll press R first. That will throw the bomb. Then press an Alt W or forward. and mash the spacebar to roll. For the same setup only with a controller, use your bow to aim here, and you'll see that the head will be similarly placed. Switch to the Astora Straight Sword and throw the bomb while touching nothing else. When the bomb is in the air, roll forward. With this setup, the gargoyle will either have its tail cut or it will fly up in the air, which is the perfect attack to let us cut its tail with the sword. If you get the tail cut, combo the gargoyle with an R2, R1, R2. Make sure you're going forward against the gargoyle or you might miss a hit. If you don't get the tail cut, roll the flying attack on the right and, after you roll, do an R1 to cut the tail. And this time do R1, R2, R1. To be super safe with the second gargoyle, space or dodge its attacks until you get the fire breath and finish it with 2 R1s. Remove the bow while climbing the tower, if you can menu while holding the stick. Then go ring the bell and bone out. Alternatively, you can go down and buy bones from Oswald if you're low. Sit down at the bonfire and put everything in strength for now. Leave and go down to Lautrec. Make sure you have an empty right hand and hit forward and R1 at the same time to perform a kick. 2 or 3 kicks should seal the deal for Lautrec's canonical death. Quit out when you get the souls and re-enter the game to pick up the Ring of Favor and Protection, aka Fap Ring. Equip it on the elevator. Drink Estus and re-equip your bow. We'll be going to Quelaag now and we'll use the Highfall from Blighttown and the Poison Swamp to set up RTSR thanks to a neat trick to get a purple moss. First, we need to get past the infested barbarians. You could simply run past and dodge their attacks, or you can bait the first one until he does one of his easy to strafe attacks. Once you're through, equip your bow and go down the 2 ladders. While looking at the ladder, aim down sight and turn 180 degrees to shoot this faraway toxic dart guy. Then stop aiming and turn the camera towards your character. After a few darts, you receive an easy purple moss. Shoot again if you don't get it the first time. Run past the crack spider and drop down, then go around until you get to the wheel. Drink when you're on it. I usually turn my camera that way, and when this edge reaches my character's hips, I backstep off it to set up my health. If that's too scary, you can find some lower visual cue to set it up your way. Run on the side of the slope until you're slowed by the swamp. Roll through it, aiming for the wood sticks. Keep some stamina to roll well away from the crack spider. Aim at the middle route to not aggro the infested barbarian on the left. Use the moss when you're at RTSR health. With Fap Ring, your health increased, and therefore the threshold for RTSR changed accordingly. Without Fap Ring, it was at 110 HP. With Fap Ring, it is at 137 HP. If you ever need it, you can get damage while running on the walls of this gallery. You can save right in front of Quelaag's firewall. Quelaag can open the fight with most of her usual attacks, but she often uses a lava-spewing jump. You can go forward and roll the jump. It's also made easy by going slightly to the right or left of the boss. Or you can space the attack. She can do this attack again during the fight if you ever get too far from her, so you should watch out for it. In this fight, you want to stay more in the mid-range, away from Quelaag's attacks, but not too far for fear of the jump. There are 2 lava attacks that she can do, a fast and a slow one. The slow one is by far the best attack to punish. You could also punish Quelaag's front legs during the single lava spew, but it's risky as she can side jump, or decide to spit a second time. To distinguish the two, on the slow attack, Quelaag's front legs will come apart before the squirting. When Quelaag does sword attacks, it's best to roll or space them while waiting for better punish windows. You could straight the sword attacks and punish the boss, but it's a more advanced and scary strategy. Quelaag also has a few short-range attacks that can be punished, but she can also side hop right after those, so be on your guard. Once she's toast, drink to full and run to pull the final lever. Fall in the hole and go towards Ceaseless Discharge. After the Fargate, go to the item at the end of the arena. Get close to the item and make sure you have the Estus flask in the quick selection. And drink as soon as you take the item and immediately start running. This is so we don't need to worry about timing the initial lava splurge. In this early part, don't deviate too much from the path I take. There is a possibility that Ceaseless does another one of his attacks that will most likely kill you, but it's exceedingly rare. What's most important here is managing your stamina properly, never depleting the whole bar so as to be running as much as possible. Once you get to the fog gate, don't stand on the sides of it and never directly against it to avoid the flame's hitboxes. Hit Ceaseless with your fist until he falls to his death, then bone out. Talk to Frampt and feed him Quelaag's soul and the gold-hemmed black set. Then go to Andre. We'll upgrade the bow and then we'll get the Darkwood Rain Ring, also known as the Flip Ring. This ring is entirely optional, but it will make Ornstein Smough slightly easier. The ring gives us 2 more invincibility frames, aka iframes, when rolling. Faster roll recovery time, and we roll further away. First, light and set at a bonfire. We'll need to bone back to it later. Get to Andre and buy 8 Titanite shards. You need 9 in total and we picked 1 up earlier on the Berenike night. Upgrade the bow to +5. Buy 100 standard arrows and the weapon smith box. Now go slightly up the stairs and shoot Andre in the face. Run up to the bonfire and out on the bridge. Shoot Andre until he dies to get the crest of Artorias. Run down and bait a lightning attack from the Titanite demon before going past him. In the coming section, stamina management will be key. You'll want to be constantly running while going past the trees and regenerate stamina in between. Instead of going to the door, head right until you get to the fog gate and stay on the right side of it. The trees will be leashing back to their spawn points and leave you alone. You could throw a black firebomb at the retreating trees to speed up the process, but that is risky. Once they're gone, open the gate. Stick to the left side of the forest. Go around the NPC with an axe and talk to the cat. The NPCs will immediately de-aggro when you do so. Stay a little far from the cat and join the Covenant. Once you've joined, exit the room so you don't receive the Covenant's ring, since it's useless to us. Now, unequip your bow and press up and R1 at the same time to kick the ninja off the cliff. Once you receive the souls, quit out. Pick up the ring, and now you can bone back. If you ever aggro the other NPCs, you could just go to this ledge, and the NPC will enter the building with the cat. This will leave you enough time to pick up the ring and go back on the ledge to bone back. At the bonfire, level up strength until 26, and then dexterity. While the flip ring is really good for boss fights, I wouldn't advise you to equip it for Sans Fortress, as rolling too far might just kill your run. And the Fap ring's stamina is a premium. For Sans Fortress, I use a claw grip technique on my controller to be able to corner while sprinting. I'd recommend you get used to it as it will make this section and the rest of the game easier. Start running at the first stairs and take note of when I recover my stamina. Recover here to position yourself facing the bridge and plant your face on the flat side of the blade while sprinting. Bait that guy left and go right, or vice versa. Recover on the midpoint of the stairs and don't stop until you're in the middle of the bridge to dodge the lightning if needed. While this running section looks scary, trust me when I say it is far less scary than killing all the man-serpents. Run left once the ball has gone past. Enter the Vargate and angle yourself towards the right of the table. You may roll through it or go around, then go down until you find the Mimic. Hide behind this pillar. There is a small chance that a man-serpent follows us down here. He'll de-aggro if he doesn't see us. Watch your soul counter to know if he died or not. Once the coast is clear, equip the Lloyd's talismans and start whacking the Mimic with 2 R2s. Get back behind the Mimic and throw a talisman so it hits the Mimic when it's fully standing up. not sooner than that. It should not have time to make any sort of attack as it turns towards you. Press the action button to take the lightning spear from the chest. Keep pressing it to check for the symbol of avarice. Repeat the previous actions and check the chest each time. Keep one talisman for later and kill the mimic with R2s, making sure it doesn't drop the symbol after death. Get up the lift and make sure you're not wielding anything in your right hand. You should not have the bow since we unequipped it while getting the flip ring. Run through the trap and it won't hit you, and then go through the blades to face this man-serpent mage. Here we have 4 different RNGs that can happen. If he hisses or readies a missile, you can do a sprinting R1 to make him move away. Hit R1 when you reach the top of the stairs and continue. If the mage comes forward, stick to his side and roll his attack. The last RNG is very rare, but sometimes you will find him randomly in the middle of the stairs. Do everything in your power to go past him. Once you're past, keep up the pace and go past the last blades on the narrow bridge. If your timing is wrong, you can start to jog while going towards the blades, but you cannot linger for long. Grab this soul and walk slowly here to fall by the bonfire. Light it and rest. Let's get Slumbering Dragon Crest Ring now. Walk into this wall to fall safely on the stairs, then run, hugging the wall. It will draw out the serpent below. If you don't see him, just give the wall a good whack. Wait 3 to 5 seconds after you stop seeing him below, before you jump down yourself. Watch out for sword rolls here and shoot an arrow somewhere in the room. We want the other man-serpent to see us and get him to fall down a step. Once they're down, go down yourself to grab the ring and bone out. Make your way out and go to the merchant. Switch RTSR for Slumbering Ring for extra safety here. If you keep moving in this section, you'll be just fine. Jump the gap. This is a tricky jump, so you might want to practice it. While you're here, buy a few black firebombs. We'll need 1 for Catacombs at least, and 2 normal or black firebombs for Bed of Chaos. You can also buy some green blossoms, but they are optional. Now wait until the Boulder Knight shooting you with his crossbow is done shooting and make the jump again. This time fall here and do the circuit again to fall here once more for a TSR. On the second run through, watch out for a Boulder Knight that might be waiting for you down there, although it's extremely rare. The Slumbering Ring may help as it obfuscates the sound we make. Now run towards the boss and don't forget to switch back to RTSR when you're safe. Equip your Astora Straight Sword and go on the narrow walkway. Wait here until the Boulder Knight aims at you. Run towards him and hit him with an R2. You may choose the lightning spear here instead, to kill him if you prefer. Equip your bow now and destroy the boulders, then shoot the giant in the head until he's dead. Grab the chunk and equip the lightning spear. In the coming fight, we will be doing a combination of R2s with this weapon. Once you hit R2, your character goes into an animation, during which you can input a direction without moving. This will precisely aim your attack where you desire. Against Iron Golem, it is key you hit the leg of the boss under the knee twice with R2s. You can make a save here just before the fog gate. Enter the fog gate and run to the left so the golem's initial attack hits the pile of rocks. Recover stamina and run towards his left leg, our right. When you're level with his right foot, stop sprinting to recover stamina. Turn the camera and press R2 aiming for the golem's right foot. Then immediately do another R2 and he should be staggered. Recover stamina and do another R2 in his foot to make him fall down and over the edge. If he doesn't fall over, you can keep punishing his body and fight normally until he's done for. Consume the Iron Golem's soul and go to the glowing circle to be transported to Anor Londo. Go down and traverse the plaza until you get to the opposite entrance. Ready your remaining Lloyd's Talisman and shoot the chest on the right. Back off in the plaza until the Mimic starts to leech back, and immediately throw the talisman while being locked on. Grab the Crystal Halberd and equip it. Combo the Mimic to finish it off and check if it drops the symbol of avarice. Go to the bonfire and upgrade your halberd to +2 and dexterity as much as you can. If you were unlucky with the Crystal Lizard, you might only be able to upgrade to +1. I'll show you how to get a chunk before ONS, but I wouldn't recommend it for those who have a +2 Crystal Halberd already. With the +2 and this amount of damage, we'll be able to kill Ornstein in 3 R1s. ONS being the primary obstacle of the run, it's really handy. The downside is that we have low stamina for now, and even lower when we remove the Ring of Faith and Protection. Head to the lift and activate it. I usually stand on the edge and wait until my head crosses the middle of this blank wall in order to have RTSR range health for the coming section. Hop up the stairs by jumping from the higher steps to a lower railing and then make your way up the flying buttress. If you have camera auto-wall recovery on, you want to angle your camera up like so to not be yeeted off. Aim for this pillar to land safely on the balcony. If you have RTSR here and at least 309 AR with the longbow, using a feathered arrow will one-shot the painted guardians with a headshot. Alternatively, if you don't have RTSR active, you can get to this point and kill the painted guardian that drops with an R2. Then turn this guardian with an arrow, switch to Slumbering Ring, and backstab him. Once you're done, shoot an arrow here without slumbering on, and make sure the Guardian walks off. Then, make your way on the skinny rafters until here. Shoot the Guardian here in the head with whatever kind of arrow. Then finally, shoot this dark spot on the wall. Once past the fog gate, and before turning the lever, head downstairs to shoot the gargoyle down. If you don't have RTSR at this point, you can take some fall damage from the lever down on the steps. Once dead, go back up to turn the lever. Now, head up to the top of the stairs. Position yourself towards the left, outside of the Sentinel's aggro range, and shoot him in the leg. Now I hope you learn how to jump the railings, because that becomes really important. Jump from the highest step to a lower part of the railing, and perform a plunge attack to one-shot the spear demon. Shoot an arrow here to lure the spear demons below. One of them will most likely fall to its death on its own. Shoot the other one with standard arrows. Here you want to walk down the buttress, as there is some janky collision that makes you take fall damage on it, specifically at the base of it. To be safer, you could drink Estus before going down. Once you round the corner, start to run up the next buttress until you're shielded from the arrows. Wait until de-aggro and position yourself so that you're hidden from the knights. You should see both of these sunlit strips and a bit more. Shoot in the corner and look to see the knight turn around. Then run around and up the last buttress until you're hidden from the left knight. Which is around that zone. If you get seen by the left-hand knight anyway, you will need to wait until he shoots to move to the ledge and go past the third window. Starting from that window, you cannot be hit by an arrow in the back if you timed going on the ledge properly. If you only have the right side knight aggroed, wait until he has loosed an arrow, and then run all the way up and past the third window. If the knight switches to his sword, stay by the window and let him fall to his death. If he keeps shooting, get in a corner and wait until he switches to his sword, and then immediately move to the side of the window to do the same as before. Otherwise, you may lock on and R1 the knight, which should one-shot with RTSR at this point. You may drink now and drop to the fog gate. If you wish, you can go to the bonfire on the left, but it's not necessary. Place yourself here and use an arrow to turn the knight by shooting the wall behind him. Quickly switch to the Summering Ring and backstab him. Go up the steps and place yourself in front of the chest. Then give it the 1-2 spinneroo to kill it even without RTSR. And finally, loot the Symbol of Avarice. It's finally time to remove the fabric now for the flip ring and launch ourselves over this railing here twice. We should have 210-230 HP, which is perfect for our drop just before fighting ONS. Finally, jump over the railing to skip the entire area. It's not advised to make your save file in front of ONS's fog gate, like the other bosses we've seen so far, as that will change the behavior of Ornstein. But you can save right here without messing it up. For practice, I usually use DSR Gadget's save and restore position to teleport my character in front of the fog gate after loading the save. Now, before we go on to the boss fight, there is the possibility you don't have a +2 Crystal Halberd, without which you may have some trouble 3-shotting Ornstein. If you really want that +2 Halberd, there is a way to get the chunk by the giant blacksmith early. Make your way there and put on the symbol to get RTSR range health. Use your bow to turn the right spear demon. Put the slumbering ring on and poke it with the halberd. You can ignore this demon if you stay outside of his aggro range. Use your bow to shoot the demon anywhere but in its head. Damage here is not an issue and any arrow will do. Then you need to use your new railing jump skill to plunge attack this last hidden spear demon. You can get the chunk at last and go directly to the blacksmith to upgrade your Crystal Halberd. Now, let's go back to Ornstein Smough. If you're back from getting the early chunk for your +2 Halberd, you may want to shoot the Royal Sentinel, since you already have RTSR. It's slow, but it might actually yield another chunk if you're really lucky. Before starting to explain this fight, it behooves me to mention that there is a cheese strategy that kills Ornstein immediately. It's a scary affair that requires a lot more stamina than what we have right now, amongst other things. So I've decided to exclude it from this tutorial.
Yes! Come on! Let's fucking go, bitch! Woo!
Go down the stairs slightly until the sentinel turns towards you, and go back up to the railing. Follow the sentinel with your camera, and when it reaches the first landing and turns around, fall down to get RTSR range health, and run to the fog gate. The sentinel will likely lose sight of you and de-aggro momentarily. Enter on the left side of the fog gate. That will diminish the possibility of Ornstein glitching. The fight can start in one of 3 ways, with Ornstein either charging on the side of the room, Ornstein walking towards you, or Ornstein shooting lightning at you. The most common is the charge, and it is also the best RNG since it gives you extra time alone with Ornstein. Go behind the pillar and roll or straight the charge. Then lock on and R1 if Ornstein doesn't hop away. You might even get lucky and kill him right there. You can also peek out of the pillar and go back, which will make Ornstein miss you. But that is riskier. If Ornstein walks during the opener, you'll have a bit of distance with Smough for the first few seconds, which may give you a punish opportunity. If Ornstein throws lightning, you might still charge afterwards, but this time Smough will be closer to you and the situation will be more difficult. After the opener, the fight will proceed normally. The first thing you should do to get better at this fight is to learn Ornstein's moveset and know how or when to dodge his attacks. On his own, he's not that hard of a boss, and a lot of attacks can be strafed. You need to be good enough to dodge him, all the while having to space most of Smough's attacks. The gameplay loop should be to bait an attack from Smough, preferably from behind a pillar, dodge anything Ornstein throws at you, make sure Smough is still otherwise occupied, and if Ornstein didn't hop away, then you may punish. It's an incredibly complex fight, and there are several pitfalls. Firstly, a lot of people will want to keep away from the danger that is posed from both Ornstein and Smough. But if you're too far from Ornstein, you're more likely to trigger charges. If you're unlucky, he might glitch out when bumping into walls and pillars. It's called Glitchstein, and it sucks. If you get a charge, try to get into some open area where Ornstein won't get stuck somewhere and roll the charge. Secondly, don't just use the flip ring's roll distance to get out of the attack's range, but make good use of the increased iframes, getting close and possibly behind Ornstein. Where you're close, it's important to not linger or attack while directly in front of Ornstein, as his poke attack can come out really fast, and you might trade blows even if he dies in the process. The halberd is a tricky weapon to wield locked off, and locking on restrains your movements greatly. A handy middle ground is to lock on, press R1, and then immediately lock off to move away from the danger. A lot of people will want to punish Ornstein immediately after they're done dodging one of his attacks, and that is a big mistake. That leads to your weapon whiffing if he hops, which will be input read by Smough, which may trigger a shovel attack. After dodging Ornstein, you want to first check if he hops away or not. Place yourself away from his two-handed poke. Make sure Smough is not a direct threat, and only then punish. Recognizing and capitalizing on these brief, safe attack windows is the hardest thing in this fight and in this run. Thankfully, with this build, only 3 R1s are required to finish phase 1. Once you're done with Ornstein, we still have one meme to be wary of. If Smough was attacking when the cutscene triggered, there's a possibility you'll have a hitbox lingering during the second phase. As a precaution, try to avoid that area as much as possible, or you might get hit by an invisible force. For phase 2, most people will stand behind a pillar, but I feel it's scarier than just facing Smough in the open. Run away when he does the shovel attack, and run to him when he's just walking towards you. If you get a left to right attack, just stand in his crotch without attacking to easily strafe it, then attack him or wait for a better opportunity. If he jumps, just run under him, turn around and R1. Get away after each hit and start the loop again. Be cognizant of where you are in relation to walls and pillars that might either hinder or help you deal with shovel attacks. Try also to stay away from the death trap that is the altar area. Super Smough should go down with no problems. Once done, drink Estus and put the Mimic head on to gain extra souls. Open the doors and shoot the big lady in the chest. Get closer at dais to receive the Lord Vessel and go sit down at the bonfire. Spend all your souls in dexterity and warp to Firelink. Talk to Frampt and place the Lord Vessel to remove the golden fog gates. Warp to Firelink and let's begin our descent in the Catacombs. First, place your black fire bombs in your quick action bar for later. Run straight through all the spawning skeletons, they won't follow you. Get down to this spot in the middle and shoot in the dark part of the scenery. Get to the corner immediately and watch the skeleton. If he falls to his death, you know you did it right. Otherwise, wait for him to go back and try again. If he sees you in the process, you can go at the top of the stairs and the skeleton will start to leash at this point. You can use this area to destroy the skeleton, but only for some time. Once he's down, you will need to hurry the next phase until the bonfire. Whichever scenario unfolds, put on Slumbering Ring instead of the RTSR, and go down the curving stairs as the barely visible skeleton falls in the pit on his own, If both are down there, you're not on a timer until the next bonfire. Get in this corner and aim straight at the seam and R1. You should be hitting the skeleton on the other side, which will down him. Once done, don't stay around because he will revive like the other ones. Run around the right side and get back your stamina before getting in the room. Dodge the Necro's fireball and kill him with an R1. Immediately light and set at the bonfire to avoid any impromptu visitors. Activate the lever. Swap both of your rings for RTSR only. Ignore the skeletons and go outside. Stay on the right by these rocks and shoot the Necro across the gap. You won't be able to reach with his fireballs. Once he's dead, get close to the nearest skeleton while staying near the precipice, and he will fall on his own. Look to the wall to make sure the skeleton actually dies from the fall. You'll know you're good when you get his souls. Shoot the skeleton on the left and bait him down in the canyon in the same way. Do the same for the third one. Now place yourself on the bridge around this place, very close to the edge. Now this is tricky and we want to be quick about it. When you see the floating skeleton heads below go away from the spur, shoot an arrow at the wall behind the 3 skeletons. Equip the slumbering ring, then walk in this gap. Roll off and jog until there's gash in the rock face. Fall down there and roll off. Check for stored roll at this point. Place yourself close to the edge here and turn the camera. Lock onto the bone wheel and throw a black firebomb. Pay attention to the feet placement. Too close to the edge and you'll throw the bomb too far from the edge and it won't clear the lip. Fall down on the closest ledge, then again on the ground floor. You can throw another black firebomb at the remaining bone wheel, but it's not necessary. Just make sure you make tight turns when going around corners. When you reach the fog gate, traverse it immediately. If you're doing your saves, you can make the save inside the fog gate, but it will place your character right outside. Now for Pinwheel. First off, switch Slumbering for the flip ring, and check your HP. From the drops we did, we should have around 90 HP. Dropping in Pinwheel's arena will take around 65 to 70 of our HP, so we'll be fine. But if your HP is too low, simply drink some Estus and use the Mimic Head to get around 110, 120 HP. The first obstacle is getting the roll off after the cutscene mid-fall. The principle is that you want to be holding forward and mash the roll button before and after you press the start button to cancel the cutscene. It's tricky to pull off without having to lay the controller down, then having to re-gather it as the fight starts. Another solution is to mash both the start and roll button at the same time. Either way, once you see your character rolling, make sure you're not in the menu and spring towards Pinwheel. Do a running R1, locking on as your character is in the animation, and finish him with an R1. If you've gotten the roll off and the running attack, the clones should disappear immediately, making this way safer. If you're not comfortable with a running R1 though, having at least 446 AR with the Halberd two-handed and without RTSR should kill Pinwheel with 2 normal R1s. But you risk the clones being able to attack once. If you have a clone behind Pinwheel, you should dodge whatever he throws at you while heading towards the exit. Then, turn the camera to dodge what is coming from behind you. There is a pile of books by the exit that can shield you from stray fireballs in the back. Drink to full and put the mimic head on, then grab the mask Pinwheel drops. The only mask that's useful is the mask of the child. Put it on if he drops it. Swap the flip ring for slumbering and advance in the dark towards the colored lights. Cross the bridge and start running, following the wall. Once you see a reddish background, go straight and stop your sprint. You'll land on the head of a giant skeleton. Roll off to the right and roll to the faraway light. Roll off again and turn towards the scenery again. Just after the lip, you'll find the bonfire. Go back up the ladder and ignore patches. Go straight to the colored light to get kicked down. Grab the souls and the skull lantern, then bone out. Warp to Firelink and head to the elevator. Get off on this ledge and roll off on this buttress. Go all the way to the nest to be warped to the Asylum. Make sure you have Slumbering Ring on and take this route to not aggro the hollows. Be wary of them as they can get to you when you're trading with Snuggly. If they aggro, you could shoot them with your bow, but remember that you have homeward bones. Go into Snuggly's nest and drop the skull lantern in, then quit out. As a reminder, you are only allowed to quit out like this in specific cases and only if no enemy is aggro to you. More info on Team Hitless's website. Go back in the game and gather the fog ring. Bone out. For those that were lucky enough to get a chunk from the Crystal Lizard, you might want to gain some more and have a +3 halberd. Although this is definitely not necessary and it will take time during your run. Here's the way to get a couple of chunks. Mind you, I'll be using a +2 for the rest of the tutorial. The first one is the chunk by the giant blacksmith. Make sure you have both fog ring and slumbering to not aggro the NPCs, and pick it off the floor. It's also a great time to restock on arrows. Now let's warp to Undead Parish, still with full stealth on, and back in Sen's Fortress. Go through the first hole normally. Then get to the back wall on the left and drop by the spikes and roll off inside the cubicle. Climb the ladder and put on the mimic head while you're at it. Attack the invisible wall and climb to the top, removing the mimic head when you get RTSR range. Make sure you're not being followed before we engage the giant. If you hear the man serpents climbing, you can wait for them up the ladder and you'll probably make them fall to their death with a simple R1. You can always bone out of such situations. Stay right by the ladder and shoot the giant. Don't get close or he'll come for you. Grab the chunk and bone out. There are 2 other chunks available for us to grab, but the danger ramps up and I only mention them. You can get rubbish in Undead Burg and exchange it at Snuggly for a chunk. And you can also grab a chunk from behind 2 dark wraiths in New Londo after opening the seal. Anyway, upgrade your halberd and let's get back to the run. Pop any soul you may have and level up your dexterity. We'll keep leveling it until we get to 40 dexterity, then we'll add a point in strength and the rest in endurance. Equip the Fog Ring and the Slumbering Ring now. Go up the ladder and talk to Patches. By answering no and not forgiving Patches, he gives us a twin humanity. Now from Patches, there are a few rocks on the right by the wall. From these rocks, we'll be sprinting and cornering tightly as we go past the Skelly Dog in the darkness. You simply need to follow the right wall until the fog gate. Here it is going to be best if you manage to turn the camera while you're sprinting so as to not run into the wall, which will slow you down, or run out wide, which will get you closer to the Skelly Dog. After the fog gate, run straight forward, then turn widely left towards the item in the distance. Roll through the bones and roll off the edge. Either roll through or go around the bones. Make sure you're always walking as the skeleton is still shooting you. Grab the item and roll through the bones and on the lower platform. Turn 180 degrees and follow the path to a square hole. Fall down and turn around. Follow the wall until you find light. You can run around and pass these bone pillars without problems. Starting here, you want to be sprinting until you're through the tunnel. Go around the pillar and then dodge or space out the attack. There are troubles with the camera here for those with auto-wall recovery on. Then drop down on the left. Now make sure you keep sprinting for the last section. Stick close to the wall here to fall on the ledge, and then run up and around the left of the last pinwheel. Breaking the tiny bone structure he's standing on might make him fall on you and stagger you, and that would be a hit. Roll through the obstacles and enter the fog gate. Make sure you're wearing both Fog and Slumbering Ring, and that you're two-handing your weapon. Drop down in the arena and stay where you landed. Sometimes Nito can get stuck behind a skeleton, and you have to bone out of there. Staying put prevents that scenario, as far as I've experienced. If he starts to scream, hold L1 to block and the attack will not hit you as your feet are too far apart. Wait for Nito to come to you, and when he's almost in the zone you dropped in, run to him to avoid his opening attack. Most of his attacks are not a problem to dodge or strafe. In fact, when you know the fight, you seldomly have to roll. The important points of this fight are your ability to realize that Nito is doing his AoE attack, your sense of position in the arena, and your stamina management. The fight loop looks like this. First, you look at Nito and recognize what he is doing. If he attacks directly, strafe to the right, staying in contact with him, and start hitting him in the leg. Make sure you don't drain your stamina, hitting, then waiting a bit for it to come back before hitting again. When Nito is done with his attack, wait until another one to attack again. If he does the AoE, you need to run to a safe location far from him and the skeletons. Obviously, you can't run away if you just depleted your stamina while attacking. So, when you're close to him, you should always be thinking about where you are in the arena, where the safe locations are, and how you can get to them as fast as possible. All the while managing your stamina and looking at what he's doing. While waiting for Nito to start his attack, I usually rotate around his body towards any possible safe spots. Be wary of Nito being too close to the walls as well, and preventing you from running in between his body and the wall. The last thing to be wary of is his grab attack. While you can strafe it to the right if you're close, I'd advise strafing to the left. When he's dead, drink and put the symbol of avarice and the silver serpent ring to gain more souls. Spend them immediately and get to 40 dex and 27 strength before putting anything else in endurance. Warp to Undead Parish. Make sure you have both stealth rings on and go down the steps to the Titanite Demon. Bait his lightning attack and run to the side. For the trees, like previously, make sure you're running full tilt when going past them and regenerate stamina in between. When you're past the gate, you can put the Mimic Head on. Go wide around the NPCs and then straight to Seath. If you're making a save state for Seath, you can make a save just before this glowing flower, and it won't change the opening sequence. You'll be able to use the SR gadget to teleport close to the grave when you want to practice. Equip Artisan and Flip Ring. First, grab the Hornet's Ring and trigger the fight. The Seath you want to punish after she charges, but only after you see her growl. You can punish the growl itself and, after a rollback, you can punish the follow-up. If Seath doesn't growl, she can do a quick uppercut attack, so it's best not to punish. During the fight, you want to move away from the boss to bait that charge, dodging away from anything else. It is the easiest way to fight the boss, but it also opens you up to be stepped on by Seath. As you come to know Seath, you want to move towards Seath and roll her jumps by going forward to avoid the paw stagger. You can also punish the right to left swipe attack by going under her belly. While it's less RNG, it requires more experience in fighting the boss. This boss also has a second phase of a sword. When she's very low on health, Seath will enter an injured state. You can just bow down Seath at this point to end the fight. Once you're done with Seath, drink, put on the Mimic Head and the Silver Serpent Ring. Then bone out. Put every soul you have in Endurance and warp to Anor Londo. It's important here we have as little souls remaining, since we'll be losing them during the prison escape later. Make your way to the archives. Shoot the boar from afar and wait by the entrance. After he bumps into the invisible wall, hit him and immediately back off. Wait until he strikes before you hit him yourself. Now put the stealth rings on and stick to the right here. Corner tightly while sprinting to go past the boar on the right. Get to the lift and listen to the boar. If he charges at you, wait in the back of the lift for the boar to de-aggro, then activate the lift. Go on the left side of the lift and equip your bow. Your placement here is important, as you want to be able to hit the ornamentation on top of the railing, while still being hidden from the channeler all the way back. If you've been seen, you'll know because the channeler dances when he sees you. From this place, test to see if you can reach the railing, and if not, move accordingly to clear the wall. Remove the slumbering dragon crest ring and shoot until you see a hollow appear from the second room and the rightmost hollow climb up the steps. Then lead all of them on a merry way to the corner of the room. When they bunched up in the corner, put slumbering back on quickly and go. Take a line toward the right, away from the hollow just behind the wall. You should see the channeler start dancing if you did everything correctly. and then turn right in the second room. Follow the wall and then the long bookcase. You should have no one following you at this point. Wait until the channeler is done shooting and climb the stairs. Hide behind the lever here until the Crystal Archer de-aggroes and activated. I would advise anyone to at least try out the juke skip that is performed on this lift, and I have a video tutorial on that on my channel. It's really easy, but for those uninterested in it, we'll be going in the prison in this guide.
And it's just a juke skip. Well done.
While on the elevator, equip the dark side. Go in the corridor and aggro the NPC. Go around the lever on the left to get past him. Kill the crystal lizard and get to the arena. According to Team Hitless rules, nothing that happens in this arena is considered a hit. Yet I would encourage you to wait in the corner until Seath does his gigantic AoE attack, so as not to get cursed before dying. Again, being cursed is not a hit, but it can be a difficult adjustment to the run. Attack the man-serpent and get the key. Then open the prison cell and dark sign immediately. Then go down the stairs to the ground floor. Shoot an arrow to lure a man-serpent down. When he goes down, place yourself a short distance away from the ladder so as not to get staggered. Then backstab him. Shoot another arrow around here to bring the other man-serpent down and backstab him too. Put the stealth rings on and go up the ladder. Remove slumbering and shoot an arrow at the chest. Put it back on and backstab the mage. Alternatively, you could just do a running attack. Grab the key and dark sign out. Immediately run to the ladder. The man-serpents won't be a problem here, as we're just going past the zone. Make sure you're sprinting when you turn the corner and when you enter the room with the archer. Take this line, away from the hollow on the left. Go up the steps and make a right turn until you're hidden at the far end. Remove slumbering and shoot the arch here. Put it back on and run to the corridor after the channeler falls to his death. Get close to the corner and lock on to the hollow. Then run and kill him. Run and kill the archer and remove slumbering. Hit the steps there, and when the hollow falls, lock on and climb a few steps, then R2. You want to avoid being on the right as you'll hit the railing. Leaving slumbering off, activate the lever and run towards this hollow. To make it safer to kill him, you can stay on the left here and wait until he de-aggroes. Make some sound, and when he turns around, run and kill him. Stay by the railing here and shoot down the channeler. Drop down slowly on the stairs and activate the lever. Shoot the wall here and put slumbering back on. Go down the ladder and all the way to the lever to activate it. Drink to full for a fast RTSR setup later. So we don't aggro the hollow below the stairs, go down the ramp on the left side of it and turn left just before the landing. Drop down after the fog gate and run towards the caves, giving a wide berth to the golems. Stop here and remove slumbering. Shoot an arrow to make the golem fall and put the ring back on. Try to take some damage here from the slide. Then get to the upright crystal and fall from the top. Check that your health is equal or below 110, and adjust with the symbol of avarice. Walk on the invisible bridge to the visible crystal before the golden golem. Remove slumbering and shoot this crystal a few times. When the golem is off the platform, put slumbering back on. This area is the last place you can make a save, without affecting the opening fight with Seath. Fall down by the writings and go in this direction. With the clams, head to the jutting crystal on the left and follow the wall. Once by the corner, make sure you stop moving and remove slumbering. Shoot this orange-ish spot on the ground, then shoot above the clams on the wall. Lead them ever to the right until they're at a safe distance. Then put Slumbering back on and enter the arena. Stopping just before the fog. Put RTSR and the flip ring and enter the fight. If you're certain you don't have a clam following you inside the arena and you're on PC, you can equip your bow, press S on your keyboard, and shoot an arrow that will shatter the crystal. Then you can simply switch your weapon and start the fight. Otherwise, you can walk behind the crystal and let Seath come to you. When he stops, roll through the crystal and make a running attack against Seath. We don't have a lot of stamina at this point, so pace your hits like with Nito. At first, stay square in front of Seath, but when he starts to cue an attack, move to the side and keep hitting the central spiky mass. Seath will take more damage there. Make sure you're not between his tentacle and his body though, as he can do a tentacle slam there. The fight ends pretty quickly anyway, and you can do all the things needed to get more souls from the fight. Spend it all in endurance again, and warp to Firelink Shrine. Keep the Mimic head on and go down to the elevator. Put on the Covenant of Artorias and the RTSR. Roll on the pot and get the Transient Curse. Go on this island here to prepare for this section. Get your bow, remove the symbol of avarice when you have RTSR, and most importantly, use the Transient Curse. It lasts 5 minutes, which is way enough time for the whole of New Londo. Run to the right to avoid the ghosts, and go up the stairs. On the bridge, make sure you reach this green patch here and immediately prepare to shoot an arrow. Lock on to the ghost and kill it. In this area you're now safe, as the ghosts who are back won't come near the building. While you're here, snipe the faraway ghost that is blocking our way. Then get to this spot in the entrance and go back to the green patch. Prepare to shoot an arrow and kill the ghost. Now, although there are 3 ghosts remaining in the house and 1 by the fog wall, it is safe to run through here. Take the time to kick the ladder, as that will be helpful for the run back. Run on the covered bridge and go down to the middle of the stairs on the left. Shoot the ghost by the pillar. Then go on the bridge by this pillar to lure out the second ghost. Shoot it as it emerges from the ground. Now shoot inward to get the key to the seal. Get inside the building and back out to the top of the stairs, preparing to loose arrows. There should be 2 ghosts coming out. Lock on and shoot them. Go down before the entrance and wait for ghosts to come out from around the ruined, domed building. Shoot all 3 of them as they come to you. If you're too pressured, you can always go back up the stairs. Now enter the house and go down the stairs until this point and turn back while sprinting. If you look behind you, you should be seeing a ghost going through the far wall. We really want to kill that one. Go back up the steps and shoot them as before. Now run through the building and all the way to the lever. Open the seal and drink Estus once. Then switch RTSR for the fog ring. Drop down here and go to the fog gate. Killing the 3 ghosts really helps with the save here. Put the symbol on your head and get into RTSR range and swap fog ring for RTSR. Go on this platform. There should be 2 more platforms below on your left and right. If you drop straight on, the first king will be in front of you. Fall down and prepare an object to drop on the floor as soon as you enter the arena. With the 4 kings, you'll be faced with regularly spawning kings in a pitch black bounded arena that are tied to a single overall health bar. The first one will spawn when you enter the fight, and a king will then spawn every 40 seconds after that, to a maximum of 4 kings at the same time. Obviously, we want to be able to kill each king before another spawns and comes for us mid-fight. Every king will spawn in their own determined spot in the arena. It's also in our best interest to know where they will spawn and to get there before they do spawn, and that for 2 reasons. The first is that we'll be able to deal damage to the king before it can do anything. 2 attacks are possible in favorable situations. The second is that we won't be baiting the king to cast the magic missile. This magic attack is usually cast by the king if the player character is far away, and it then follows you around the arena for 20 seconds, preventing you from fighting the king at ease and eating into the 40 seconds before the next king spawns. While the first king spawns far away in front of us, the second king will spawn closer but to the side. The second, third and fourth will spawn on the same line, going further away with every king. We drop off center of the arena, as such that the wall is closer on our left than our right when looking at the first king. Dropping an item here will let us get some of our bearings in the dark and help us in locating at least the second king. It's also very useful if you have a magic missile on your tail, as you never want to meet one of the walls of the arena when running from the missile. Staying in the object's light means you're unlikely to bump into one. As an opener, the first king will either come to you and do a melee attack, throw a magic missile immediately, come closer, then throw a magic missile, or cast his 12-fold magic attack. But this is very rare and easily dodged by going to the right or left if you're far, or going towards the king if you're close. If you get a missile attack, run back and dodge the king's attacks until the missile disappears, then engage the king. I like to jog towards the king, hoping for the melee attack, so that I can be very close to the spawn point of the second king when I'm done with the first. I punish once for most attacks, exception being for attacks that usually have follow-ups but have been cut short. Some attacks can easily be strafed and get punished twice. You can also punish the grab attack after the grab hitbox has vanished. Same as with Ornstein, I lock on, R1 and lock off. Dodge another attack, rinse and repeat. When you kill a king, his hitbox will still be there for you to strike as he dies in a plume of blinding light. To take full advantage of this, try to be full stamina when striking the killing blow. Make sure you look at the individual king's health and not the main health bar to gauge when he's about to die. With this build, you should kill each king after 4 normal hits, unless you get a counter hit, in which case a king will die in 3 hits. After death, I try to hit him with an R1 and an R2. Center your camera on the object on the ground and the second king should be spawning to the right of your position. When he does, you need to wait until the king has finished his animation to be able to damage him, as there are no hitboxes before that point. The king has hyper armor during that time, so your damage will be diminished, but it's still a huge leg up. When the second king is dead, I use my experience to find the third king, representing his spawn point in my head and going there. As this technique is not transmissible in video-based format, I'll give you an alternative way to find all the kings. Drop an item as you enter exactly as usual, but this time run for 2 stamina bars and drop a second one. The second king will be on the right of the second object when looking at the first. When you're done with the second king, go back to the second object, put your first object slightly to the left of your screen and run for 2.5 bars directly back and you'll find the third king. I don't use this method, but it might help some people. Now there are situations that can arise in that fight where your best solution is to leave the fight and try again. Let's look at how you can go back in the arena safely. Go back down the elevator and switch your rings to Fog Ring and Slumbering. Go around the ghosts here and up the stairs as you did the first time around. But make a tight turn right here. Drop down and roll on the platform. Now, since we kicked the ladder on our first visit, we can make our way up. Go across the bridge and run directly down the steps and keep going straight until you reach the broken stairs. Fall down here and continue forward, following the wall, until you arrive at this elevator that takes you up to the lever we activated earlier. Drink Estus and put the Covenant of Artorias instead of the Slumbering Ring. Now we have to deal with the ghosts. So go around to this point and wait until you see them appear through the pillar and drop down. Run to the fog gate and when you cross it, roll and fall down on the left side. Get RTSR the usual way. If you're getting low on items to drop on the floor of the arena, remember that if you unequip your arrows, you can drop them one by one. Once you've dealt with the 4 kings, drink and get more souls as usual, and level everything in endurance. You can also remove the Covenant of Artorias freely. Then warp to Firelink. Go down the elevator and put the stealth rings on. You can start consuming humanities during long downtimes as well. Run straight past the infested barbarians and go down the ladder. Instead of going down the second one, just roll off the platform. Then go straight and around to the wheel. Down in the swamp, you can take a straighter path than before thanks to the rings, and then run all the way through Quelaag's arena. Make sure you have enough health, then drop down the hole. Roll through the invisible wall and talk to Engi. Be sure to say yes here. If you answer no, he won't let you through. As per Team Hitless rules, you can then quit out the game to reload the conversation and answer correctly. Enter into the Covenant with our fair lady and give her 30 humanities to open the shortcut. Now run to the demon ruins. When you're at sight of the Capra demon, remove slumbering, shoot an arrow here, and put the ring back. While you make your way down, the Capra demon should be dead. You can drop from here and it won't kill you. When you get here, notice this bulge on the edge. We want to drop and fall here. When you're down, we want to make our way through this corner here while running, or we risk being hit by the Pillbug demon. Do a running attack on this animated statue, and you can grab the soul item here next to the centipede demon. Place yourself here and remove slumbering. Shoot the Taurus demon from afar. When he goes down, shoot the cliff face not far from him repeatedly to make him fall to his death. If he starts to go back up instead, or he's ignoring your arrows, you might be shooting too far from him. Treat him like his hard of hearing and lead him slowly to his demise. Put slumbering back on and make sure you have enough health from all the drops we've done. Simply run straight down and then up. Drop down on the right to take some damage. Put the symbol of avarice to get RTSR health range. Then go to the shortcut and open it. Put on Fog Ring and RTSR and approach the Titanite Demon from the rear. Destroy the branches and do a running attack against the demon's tail. Then go back out of range and wait for the Titanite Demon to turn around. Repeat these actions until he's dead. Drink up and put Slumbering instead of RTSR. Remove your halberd and prepare your bombs. Run past the statues and up the branch. Make sure you're running past the NPC by cornering tightly and enter the fog gate. I prefer to remove the fog ring here to see my feet clearly. You can put the silver serpent ring and the flip ring. When you drop down in the arena, run straight until you reach the outer ring. Wait until the end of the opening attack, then place yourself on the 6th tile out. We'll destroy the 2 shiny globes with the bombs from here. Take note of where you should be aiming before you start throwing the bombs. If you're on PC, I'd advise using the mouse to make aiming easier. Start with whichever side you prefer and make sure you know how to get to the other spot smoothly. After the throw, turn the camera towards the other spot, but make sure you're not moving when the cutscene triggers, as that will make your aim drift away. Throw the last bomb, turn the camera around away from Bed of Chaos, and start walking down the revealed branch until these 2 tiles, and switch from the bow to your empty hand. Turn the camera again, and look at the phoenix that appeared behind the root-like body. If you see it cross its arms, it is casting a fire attack that will not hit you where you are. When it is squirming and going up in the air, look to the ground, and when you see the premises of the fire pillars, run up the branch and into the branch-filled corridor. Roll into them quickly and punch the bug for the finish. Get the souls and level up as usual, then warp to Firelink. Drop in the hole by Framt, then sit and offer the souls to the Lord Vessel. Put on the Mimic Head and the Stealth Rings. To speed up the process, you can come here and run down this dune. Jump when you're almost at the bottom to get more full damage. Once you have RTSR range health, proceed on the right side past the first Black Knight. Hug the right and walk against the slope here by the second Black Knight to not aggro him. If you do, you may either bone out and try again, or you can try to rush what comes next. The Black Knight leashes when you get to the beams, but he can re-aggro and follow you pretty far. Without the Black Knight following you, get to this point and prepare your rings here. RTSR and Hornet Ring. Make sure you're also one-handing the halberd as well. If you grab the target shield all the way back at the Asylum, you can use it instead of the Grass Crest shield, as it has slightly more parry frames. Peek around the pillar and let the Black Knight aggro to you. Go around the pillar with the Black Knight following you and start your final running section before Gwyn. Make sure you're managing your stamina consumption so you're running while going by the 2 remaining Black Knights. Go on the left for the Axe Black Knight and head to the right of the Halberd Black Knight. Enter the last bar gate. Roll inside the arena in case you have a Black Knight striking at you. Go towards Gwyn and parry the first attack while you're holding forward. The opener can either be the very high leap or the straightforward long jump. Some people like to lock on as Gwyn is leaping at them, but that's not my preference. I usually wait for Gwyn's feet to come down to parry on the high leap. After the parry, immediately riposte. Lock onto Gwyn and rotate around him to his back. Try to be directly behind him. When Gwyn is fully standing up, do 3 rolls backwards. We stand behind him so that he will cue an attack while we're rolling away. If he does a grab attack, go back 3 or 4 steps before going forward. If he does a sword attack, go back 2 steps before going forward. When the attack is over, start going forward and parry him again. He can very rarely do the high leap once again. On that occasion, you need to stop going forward completely, or you risk Gwyn going over you and then you're in big trouble. After the second parry, riposte again, lock on and rotate to his back. Two-hand your weapon and do an R1. Congratulations! You've just beaten Dark Souls hitless. That wasn't so hard, was it? If you followed this guide until this point, thank you very much. I do hope that this will help you get started in Dark Souls hitless runs, or maybe you'll have learned something new. There are tons of other stuff that I wanted to add, but sadly this tutorial is long enough as it is. A big shout out to Team Hitless and all the people in charge of verifying runs. Special thanks to the Italian Team Intoccabili and the French team Patouche FR and all their members. Discord links are in the description if you have more questions or if you want to meet other runners. I'd like to thank all the people that helped me and motivated me directly or indirectly. All the people I borrowed strats from, and the countless known and unknown runners that have gone before me and who came up with some of these crazy strats and routes. Finally, come check me out on Twitch, where I try to no-hit Souls-like games and become a part of the community. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the last boss.